Hey there, welcome back to a new week of What's for Dinner. I'm really excited to be showing you these meals. I cooked for a couple other people this week. My brother and his wife were visiting us, so I cooked a little bit more food, I guess I should say. But anyways, if you don't know yet, we are moving into our new home in Utah next week. So next week we will be in our new home, and I was wondering if you guys wanted to see a house tour. If you do, I might give you a house tour. If not, I don't have to. But anyways, I also wanted to tell you about an app I've been using for a few months now. It's called FAVOREATS. I do all of my meal planning pretty much on that app, and I've saved a lot of recipes to that app. It's a free app with optional upgrades, so it's absolutely amazing. I will leave in my description box below a lot of information about it, so if you want to download it, you could find it there. But anyways, I hope you like this week of meals, and let's get to cooking. To get us started off, we're going to be making my favorite lasagna recipe of all time. This is my mom's recipe, actually. So to get it started in my saucepan right here, I'm just adding my sausage in. I'm adding a pound of sausage. I'm using the sweet Italian sausage, and I'm removing the casings, but per usual, just add whatever type of sausage you like. The hot sausage is also really delicious in this recipe. But after I add the sausage in, I'm going to add in 1 diced up onion along with 3 cloves of garlic, and I'm going to cook all of these ingredients together until the sausage is completely cooked through. While our sausage is cooking away, I'm going to boil up our 9 lasagna noodles. Now that my sausage is completely cooked, I'm going to remove all of the excess grease. I do want to point out one of the reasons that I love this lasagna recipe. It is just so simple to make, and it has a ton of flavor, so that's why I make it so often, and my mom makes it so often. It's just such a good recipe. But now I'm going to be adding a jar of some marinara sauce to the pan, and I'm going to stir this all together and then put the lid on this pan and let this simmer for about 15 minutes. Now we're going to begin to layer our lasagna. So to my 9x13 baking dish that I sprayed with some nonstick spray, I added a layer of our marinara sausage mixture and then 3 lasagna noodles on top, and then more of that meat and marinara mixture. And then for our cheeses, I'm adding 1 cup of cottage cheese to each layer, total about 24 ounces, and then 3/4 cup of mozzarella cheese on each layer, and then about 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese on each layer, and there's 3 layers total. This is going to bake in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 40 to 50 minutes. Here is my plate of food. This lasagna turns out amazing every time. I just served it with some garlic bread and a side salad. This is my favorite go-to meal when I'm cooking for a larger group of people because it's delicious and simple. I really felt like barbecue type of food, so now I'm making some steak, baked beans, and potato salad. We're going to begin on the potato salad. I peeled and diced about 5 russet potatoes into smaller pieces. Now to a pot of some boiling water, I'm just going to add our potatoes in there, and I'm going to cook these potatoes until they are fork tender. You want to make sure you just cook them till they're fork tender so they don't get mushy. While I have our potatoes boiling up, I'm going to begin to chop up our 3 sticks of celery and 1/2 of a white onion into smaller pieces. Per usual, use less or more celery, just depending on your preference. Now that my potatoes are fork tender, I strained them and let them cool for about 10 minutes. I just added them to my larger sized bowl. I added our onion and celery right in there. And now we're going to let these marinate with some Italian dressing. Of course, use any type of Italian dressing you like, but we just like this one. I'm going to add about 1/3 cup of Italian dressing to this, stir it up, and then stick it in my fridge to marinate for about 2 hours. Here we are 2 hours later. We're going to add the rest of the ingredients to this potato salad now. I have 4 to 5 chopped up dill pickles I'm adding in. Of course, if you love dill pickles, add more. If you don't like them, add less. And then I added 1/4 cup of dill pickle juice. That's going to add a lot of flavor to this. 2 teaspoons of mustard, 1/3 cup of some sour cream, and about 1 cup of some mayonnaise. I'm going to stir this all together and then taste it. If I think it needs more of any of those ingredients, I add more. But anyways, I typically add a couple boiled eggs to this as well, just chopped up hard boiled eggs, but we actually didn't have any eggs on hand, so I just skipped that step. But once I stirred this all together, I added a little bit of salt and put this in my fridge to chill for about 2 more hours. Here is the finished product. This is such a yummy meal. I didn't show you how to make the steaks just because we did them outside on the grill and it was pretty dark. And here's Brinley. She was kind of upset because she was wanting me to hold her, but this is such a yummy comfort food type of dinner. Now we're making some chicken pesto pasta, and this is one of my favorite meals of all time. It is so flavorful. To this pot of boiling water, I added 1/2 pound of some noodles. Now we're going to begin on the chicken. So to this pan, I added a tablespoon of olive oil. Once that got hot, I added a few cloves of garlic, and now I'm adding in our pound of boneless, skinless chicken breast that I diced into smaller cubes. And I'm just going to season it with about a teaspoon of some of this Italian seasoning. I'm going to stir this chicken together and completely cook it through. Now that our chicken is cooked, I'm going to remove it to a separate plate so we could start on the sauce. To get started on our sauce, I added 2 tablespoons of butter with 3 tablespoons of flour. I'm going to whisk this together until the flour is a nice golden brown. Now I'm going to slowly add in 1 cup of chicken broth and then 1 cup of some half and half. You do want to add it in slowly and then whisk it while you're adding it in. I said this plenty of times before, but it's just to ensure that you don't have any clumps in your sauce in the end. You want it to be nice and smooth. Now for our cheeses, I'm adding in 1 cup of some mozzarella cheese with 1/2 cup of some Parmesan cheese. I'm going to whisk this all together, and then you're going to add in 1/2 cup of some fresh basil pesto. You could definitely add more pesto if you love pesto and you're obsessed with it, but I just added 1/2 cup in and it just adds so much great flavor. I'm going to whisk this all together and let it thicken up. Once it does start to get thicker, I'm going to add our chicken back in, let the chicken heat through, and then it's ready to serve. Here is the finished product. This is amazing. It has so much wonderful flavor. It's just such a good dinner. This also makes for great leftovers for the next day, so if you're trying to meal prep or anything like that. Now we're making spinach stuffed chicken breast, and if this is intimidating you, do not let it intimidate you. This recipe is so simple to throw together. In this bowl, we're going to start with the creamy sauce. I added in 4 ounces of softened cream cheese. I softened it in my microwave because I forgot to take it out in time. And then I added in 2 tablespoons of some mayonnaise, along with 1/4 cup of some Parmesan cheese and 1.5 cups of some fresh spinach that I chopped into very fine pieces. And now I'm just adding a little bit of some garlic powder and salt to taste. I'm just going to set this creamy mixture to the side, and now we're going to begin with our chicken breasts. I'm using 5 chicken breasts for this recipe. Definitely you could use more or less, just whatever suits your needs. I'm just slicing a hole in the center of these chicken breasts horizontally, and I did them with all of my chicken breasts. I did not cut through to the other side. I just kind of made pockets in them. So now we're going to begin to season these chicken breasts up now that they are in my 9x13 baking dish. For the seasonings, I'm just using some paprika, salt, onion powder, garlic powder, and some pepper. Nothing too crazy, just some of my favorite seasonings. I'm going to be brushing a little bit of some olive oil on each of these chicken breasts. I'm going to be stuffing our chicken breasts with this creamy mixture. I'm going to be generously stuffing them to make sure that these have plenty of flavor. I'm going to stick this into a preheated oven to bake on 375 for about 25 to 35 minutes, or until they reach 165 degrees internally. Here is the finished product. These chicken breasts have an extreme amount of flavor. They're just really wonderful. I served it with some quinoa and some frozen mixed vegetables. This was a nice meal to eat. Now we're making one of my sister-in-law's favorite meals of all time, Hawaiian Haystacks. To get this recipe started, it is very easy to have. I just had to cook for a lot of people on that night. I added 4 chicken breasts to my Dutch oven with 4 cups of water and 6 bouillon cubes. I'm going to let this boil and have it covered until the chicken is completely cooked. While our chicken is boiling up, I'm going to begin on our white rice. I'm just using my Instant Pot for this. I just do the 1-to-1 ratio. If you've never cooked white rice in your Instant Pot, I definitely recommend it. Like I said, I do the 1-to-1 ratio, and then I press the rice button, and then it comes out perfect every single time. I love making white rice like this. But now that my chicken is completely cooked, I removed it to a separate cutting board, and then I'm just chopping it into smaller pieces, or you could shred it. Now we're going to work on the cornstarch slurry for our chicken gravy. In this bowl, I have a cup of water, and then I added about 1/4 cup of some cornstarch. I'm going to whisk this all together to ensure there's no clumps, and then I set it to the side. Now I'm going to be sifting the chicken broth. I actually poured it into a separate bowl and then sifted it that way. I just wasn't able to film while I was doing that. But anyways, now that it is sifted and nice and smooth, I added in our cornstarch slurry and then brought this up to a boil, and I let this thicken up. You might have to add an additional cornstarch slurry to make sure this is thick. But now that it is thick to my liking, I added back in our chicken, warmed everything through, and then this is ready to serve. Here are all the toppings that we have. We have pineapple chunks, black olives, cherry tomatoes, cheese, and some celery. We typically have this with some chow mein noodles too. My store was all out of chow mein noodles, unfortunately, but this is a fun dinner. All of the extra toppings on top, like the pineapple chunks and stuff, it adds some great flavor to this and uniqueness. This is just a fun dinner. And that is a wrap of this video today. I really hope you guys enjoyed it and got some meal inspiration. I hope you are doing well, and if you are new here, we'd love to have you. So go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.